In this video, I want to talk about mice, how to find out where they're coming into your house and how to stop them. And we're going to do it right now. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to be doing this on my shed. You can apply these same principles to your house, or maybe you have some mice in your shed. I want to give you a warning. There's some gross stuff in here. That is why we're going to do it in here, because there are some obvious examples of a mouse infestation. So usually you want to start on the outside because they can travel all over the place, but we're going to start in here and I'll show you what to look for. So the first obvious sign is seeing a mouse. Obviously, if you see one, you got them. And if you see one, you probably got more than one. The second most obvious sign is mice poop. And trust me, this place was loaded with it. There's still some. In case you didn't know what it looks like, you can see some that I missed, or maybe it's new. So if you're seeing this stuff right here, that means that you have mice. And you might be wondering why they're getting into your house. And you looked all around the house and you don't see any big holes or anything. Well, mice can get into a hole the size of a 1/4 inch, about the size of a pencil. So you might want to take a second look. I'm going to show you some obvious signs in here that you can look out for so you can kind of pinpoint where they might be coming in and how to block that up. One thing to look for is trails. Take this for example. Right up here in this corner, you can see there's discoloration right at the top of that top plate, the 2x4 there. And then they come down and they can dig their little claws into the 2x4 here and run down, up and down vertically. And then they go right on top of this. And you can see it's all discolored on the top. You see it dies out right here. So basically you trace it back here, and if you can find a lot of discoloration like this, that is probably where they're coming in. So if you take a look up top here, you might be able to see some kind of a hole. So this is new. I put this here when I moved in, and a trail ended up being on this. So I know that the mice are still coming in here. So I gotta take care of that. These trails are made up of oil and dirt that the mice leave behind. Not only do they look gross, but they also smell. And here's a fact about mice that you may not have known. They can't see too well, and they do everything by feel. And these trails actually help them, because they're creatures of habit, to follow a path that they're familiar with, and they know that they can follow this to get your food and just get in your house, go to their nest, and so on. So while we're doing all this, blocking the mice out, trying to get rid of them, it's a good idea to clean up these trails with some disinfectant spray and make it a little harder for the mice to have a familiar path to take into your house. So you want to track down all the spots that you see like that. And in my case, I'm seeing them in all 4 corners. Here's one right here. There's the trail. You follow it up. Goes right into that corner. So I'm guessing there is a hole just like that right there. This corner over here, same thing. Discoloration at the top, definitely coming in that corner. Same thing in this corner. And then you can actually see daylight. And the thing about mice coming into your house, unfortunately, they're really not just visiting. They have packed a bag, they may have brought the kids and family, and if not, they are gonna set up shop in your house and they are gonna make a family. And that's why if you see one, you probably got more than just one. So if you can find the nest, obviously that's something you want to take care of, but along those entry points is where you might see one. And in my case, in this corner right here, you can see all the black, and then they follow the soffit and go behind this speaker right here. And if we take a look behind that speaker, you can see a very obvious mouse nest. And I actually already kind of got the mice out of here, kicked them out, and I started sucking that up with the shop vac, and I just haven't finished. But you know, I'm gonna have to take that speaker out and just clean that up and try and make it a little less nasty in here. While we're on the topic of getting rid of the mice, this might be a good time to talk about how to get rid of the mice. And look, I am a lover of all creatures, but I've seen what mice can do. I have pulled out countless wires from my old house where they chewed the wire right down to the bare copper. So if I have to choose between a potential house fire and getting rid of the mice, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna choose getting rid of the mice. You do whatever you have to do. If you wanna catch them in a humane way, if you wanna use the traps, you can. I use these traps. They're really easy to set, just like this, and you're done, and you'll catch them. A lot easier than those wooden traps that will get your fingers sometimes. This right here is actually the best place to start. Doors. I actually just replaced a door threshold on my garage where I saw obvious entry points of mice coming in. So check your doors because they're very good entry points for mice. Like this one right here. Obviously this is a shed door and it's not gonna be sealed up perfectly, but we gotta do something about this because right there, obviously mice can come in pretty much along this entire bottom, but definitely on the other side, and that is the place that they chose to come in the most, because if you take a very close look, you can see how the plywood's kind of rounded over and there's scratch marks, claw marks. That is where the mice are coming in. They're opportunistic. They are gonna take the path of least resistance. And it's kind of like water. When you seal up one point, if I sealed just that point, they're probably gonna go to the next easiest entry point. So really, you gotta seal it all up. Even if you just find that, you should seal that up too, because they're gonna try and get in here no matter what. So now that we've identified the entry points, let's start sealing it up. Choosing the material to block up the entry points is going to depend on the entry point itself. Things to avoid using are things like caulking. Normal spray foam probably is not gonna work. They'll chew right through that. They can chew right through wood, but that might be your only option. I'm gonna use wood for this, and that will definitely deter them. If they end up chewing through it, I'll come up with something else. But the best thing you could possibly use is a sheet of metal, something that they can't really chew through, very easily anyways. So in these corners, it might be a little tricky to get this piece of metal to perfectly fit in there and to actually get it so they can't like fold it out of the way and sneak through. So I'm gonna use something different in the corners, but the first thing I'm gonna do is block up this right here. So I'm just gonna take a measurement, rip a piece of wood and install it in there and block those holes up. So this door is a little loose and it makes it uneven down here. So I'm just gonna adjust this handle. And that is actually something to keep in mind with doors is there are adjustments such as the threshold. If you have an adjustable threshold, you can raise it if you have a gap at the bottom, and simple things like weather stripping, and like I said, they can chew through a lot of stuff. So if you can adjust anything with your door or add something to it, like I'm gonna add here, it's a good idea. Nice. So now that's nice and tight to that. And that made that more even. And I'm gonna use pressure treated because it seems like a spot that needs it. Oh yeah, we got a little rot here. This is gonna be a project for the future. Ooh, that looks pretty good. Well, I do still see some entry points. One of them is right here. This isn't long enough, so right at the bottom there's an entry point, and right in the corners. So I'm actually gonna do doorstop on both sides, and then I'll do something in the middle there. Because like I said, you block up one point, they're gonna try and find another point. So let's block it up. Too tight. Always use the proper tools. that's working good. If I cared about weather stripping, if it was going into a house, I'd add weather stripping, but this is a shed. It's all sealed up nice and tight. Originally, when I was trying to figure out what to use in the corners here, when I didn't take a really close look at it, I got this stuff. This is spray foam, but it is rodent block. So it has something in it. When they start chewing it, they don't like it apparently. But with these, I don't want to use this, and I'll show you why. On the outside, this is where that hole is, and I can actually see this gap where this corner is. So if I fill that with spray foam, I have a feeling that it's all gonna pour right out here. So I'm gonna use something different. I'm gonna use steel wool, and this is a grade number 3, which means it is the most coarse. And I'm hoping this is gonna work, because this is metal. Instead of using a piece of metal where I don't think I'm gonna be able to bend it and attach it in a good enough way. At least with this stuff, you can kind of shape it, jam it in there, and hopefully they won't get through this stuff. Let's see. I have a big screwdriver. I'm just gonna tuck this stuff right in there. Kind of like that. I'll do a little more. Essentially, if you jam this together tight enough, I feel like it becomes kind of one sort of solid piece of metal. That's my thought anyways. And actually what would be a good solution, in my opinion, is if you kept this stuff kind of loose and there was, say, a bigger hole, you could use this and then use a combination of that with the rodent block spray foam, and it would kind of fill in all that. Might have better odds blocking these things out. I'm gonna say that's pretty good. We'll do the other 3 corners. As you can see, I got gloves on because while I rip this, I don't want to get poked or cut or anything. And it might be a good idea to wear a mask while you're doing this, not because of the steel wool, but because mice are nasty, as we've been talking about. This one is tricky to see and to get to. Still see daylight. So yeah, it's harder to get in this one to tuck that steel wool in. So I'm gonna leave that steel wool right there. Use a little of this. Hopefully it doesn't spill out on the outside. I don't know, might as well try it. Okay, that should expand. Hopefully block that all up. So on the outside you can see right here, just a little bit of spray foam sticking out. So when that expands, you might see it more. I don't think I have to worry about up here. I think that's probably blocked off, but I guess we'll find out. Another really common entry point for mice, and especially for chipmunks, is this up here, these vents. And I say for chipmunks because chipmunks will be really persistent and can actually chew through the wire that's up here. So if you don't have any wire, add some. And my vents look good, so I'm not worried about that. I think the shed is all sealed up. There's only one way to tell, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna put one of these out, and if I get one, I'll take a look. There is a chance that we could have a lingerer in here, or one gets in really randomly, but I'm just gonna keep catching them and checking, and hopefully I sealed this up nice and tight. But before we wrap it up, I do just want to show you a couple possible entry points on my actual house so you can have an idea if that is what you're trying to block up. I can cover most of the possible entry points right in this corner. There's a lot of good examples. Like under here, under this trim, freeze board, whatever you want to call it. See if there's any holes going in the foundation. There might be some sill damage or something. They like to chew through easily chewable wood, so if you have some rot, that's probably a good place for them to get in. These corner boards, as you can see, they can probably climb up this entire corner board, make it up to the trim up there, and get in that way. Up here, the soffit, check for any obvious holes from water damage, or if they chewed a hole through. That is a possible entry point. They can get on the roof from a branch. and just kind of make their way in that way. And another big one, wires and pipes. In fact, I need to seal this up. So they just installed this pipe. This is from a radon remediation system, and they didn't seal it out here. So I can stick that screwdriver all the way in. I'm definitely gonna seal that up. Those are the most common locations. Again, check for trails, the nasty trails, check for mice poop all over the place on the inside of the house, in the basement. Work your way around and see if you can find where they're coming in. Some other ways to stop mice from even thinking about coming in your house are not to entice them. Try to keep your house clean. Don't leave food laying around, especially outside. If you have a barbecue or something and you drop some food, try and pick it up. Keep your grill clean. Avoid having bird feeders close to your house. Avoid piles of logs or big wood chip piles or leaves where they can make a nest and then they'll want to go looking for food in your house. You can use something like this, rodent repellent, spray it around your house, or even grow peppermint around your house. Apparently they don't like the smell, so hopefully that will keep them away. And when all else fails and you don't know what to do, you can call an exterminator and I'm sure they can help you out. So if you had a mouse problem or you just wanted to prevent them from even getting in there and causing a problem in the first place, I hope this video helped. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And I'm gonna be using my shed for this video. The most obvious sign that you have mice is seeing a mouse in your house. Mouse in your house. Mouse in your house. Bouncing a mouse. These little tiny, they look like sprinkles, but you're not gonna wanna put those on your ice cream. I don't know how they do it. They're contortionists, I don't know. And the trails that they leave are basically their own feces and dirt, everything that they're on their little fucking feet, small little points in the, I gotta take a number 3. Do I look cool right now? Please don't jump out at me, mouse. Or on your own before we end. And that's what you're trying to do. My God, stop. Go up this entire thing. Let's try that again. As you can see, they could, oh my God. Mice got you down. So that right there. Ooh. So if you had a mouse problem and you wanted to stop them dead in their tracks, I hope this video helps to keep them out of the house and keep your family safe.